Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/AITA. In today's episode, AITA for getting upset with my husband after he told me nothing will change while I am pregnant? AITA for telling my wife that I would be perfectly capable of doing what she does. AITA for telling my son's wife that his ex is in the family and has been here longer than she has. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. AITA for getting upset with my husband after he told me nothing will change while I am pregnant? Throwaway account. So me, 26F, and my husband, 28M, who I'll call Jake for this story, have been together for 5 years and married for 3. We have recently started trying for a baby as we both felt like that was the next step in our life together, and 3 weeks ago I got a positive test back. We were really happy and told our families, and now my mom and ML want to throw a big baby shower for us. It was just super good news all around. Well, 2 nights ago me and Jake were getting ready for bed when he reminds me to go through the house and make sure all the lights are off. Now he can be a little lazy at times, and it has become a nightly routine for me to make sure all the lights are off that he leaves on before we go to bed. I wasn't feeling very well and asked if he could just do it since he wasn't doing anything and was literally standing by the door. He then tells me, "No, this is what is expected of you every night." I was a little hurt, but I didn't want to fight with him, so I just did it. When I came back, Jake goes on this very long and unprovoked rant saying things like, just because you are pregnant does not mean anything will change and you are still expected to cook, clean, and do all the chores every day, because how can you be expected to be a mother if you can't handle a little work? He wasn't yelling or anything, he was talking to me quietly like I was 2 inches tall. I was shocked because I had never heard him say anything like this. The rant went on for about 30 minutes before I interjected and asked, "Well, what do you plan on doing to help me with all of this?" He then got extremely defensive, saying he works his ass off at his job to provide for me and what is going to be our future children. For context, I don't work ATM, my job was not paying enough to justify me going, so I am a full-time college student. He ended by saying that it doesn't matter how I feel physically or mentally, it is a mother's job to push through, and if he helped and babied me I wouldn't be a good mother. I got extremely upset and started yelling, and I said that I wish I would have known this is how you felt before I got pregnant with your baby. There was a moment of silence before he started crying and he left for the night to stay at his mother's house. He hasn't been back yet, and my MIL and SAL have called me berating me and saying I broke Jake's heart with what I said and I need to apologize immediately, and until I do he isn't coming home. I don't know how to feel. So AITA for yelling at my husband after he said he isn't helping me with anything during the pregnancy because it's a mother's job to deal with it? Edit. First, I want to thank you all for your responses. I'm sorry I haven't really responded to anyone specifically, but I really do appreciate you guys. A few of you asked if I told my MIL and SAL what he said, which I did. They basically said I was being sensitive and all he meant was pregnancy isn't an excuse to be lazy, he meant no harm. Okay. I am getting some things together and I'm going to be headed to my mom and dad's house. My mom is furious with him and doesn't want me apologizing to him or talking to him without the situation either being recorded or having a witness. Regardless, I am okay and will be okay. I do appreciate all of you though, you have opened my eyes to many things I may have been ignoring or looking past over the years. Girl, get an abortion and a divorce ASAP. This man just told you who he really is, and things are about to get a whole lot worse. Run. I had the same thought but didn't want to say it. Co-parenting with someone this toxic would be a nightmare. Oh, so he won't baby you, but he'll run back home crying to mommy because you called him out on his bullshit? Wow. Just wow. I think you can salvage this if you stand your ground. If not, I'm so sorry. NTA. Absolutely. This guy wants his pregnant partner to push through because otherwise she won't be a good mom, but he can't even have his wife say anything negative before running to his mom and sister. Don't even try to save this. You're too young to sign up for a life of these inane battles at best. At worst, it's terrifying manipulation and abuse. Take your kid and leave. Will your family help you if you decide to continue the pregnancy? You're in an abusive relationship. He's wrong, things will change for the worse. Men are often more abusive during a woman's pregnancy because they can't control the pregnancy itself. NTA, but you need to run. Yep. And he waited until she was pregnant and in too deep to let the mask drop. To add to this, the leading cause of death of pregnant women is homicide by their partner. So yeah. Run. NTA, abusers often start their abuse during life changes like this. This is terrifying behavior and you should strongly consider all of your options, including abortion. Yep, that was my take too. Isn't it great the way he tells OP to be an adult, but then rather than behave like an adult himself and have a proper conversation, he ran back home to his mother? My jaw dropped. NTA OP, and as another commenter pointed out, if you proceed with this pregnancy, you'll have 2 children. NTA. One thing that stands out is we aren't even talking about general housekeeping here. It's doing crap for a grown man he should be doing himself, as it sounds like it's the lights he turned on himself. Even if one believes in an arrangement where the woman has the general upkeep of the house and child-rearing duties and the man is the breadwinner, that doesn't mean she follows him around turning lights on and off for him. Now he can be a little lazy at times, and it has become a nightly routine for me to make sure all the lights are off that he leaves on before we go to bed. Makes you wonder how many other routines there are that OP isn't even aware of. NTA, this guy is abusive and it's time to get out. AITA for telling my wife that I would be perfectly capable of doing what she does. I, 30M, have a wife, 30F, and a daughter, 7F. I work in finance and my wife is a stay-at-home mom as I earn sufficient for the both of us. My wife is a great som and takes great care of our house. I was lucky to buy a home as I earn well in a medium cost of living city. I love my wife, but she finds it humorous to say that I am incapable of doing household tasks. We had agreed that she would do them when we decided she would stay at home, but I do stuff occasionally when we are both home if she asks me to. But then if I say load the dishwasher for her, she will claim I did it wrong just because I do it different than she does. It still cleans well. The other day we were eating and she told me about her day and how she went grocery shopping and optimized the cost by buying specific items at specific stores and accounting for the cost of traveling to each store, and she made an offhand remark that I would never be able to do that and said it in a "what would you ever do without me" kind of way. I replied back saying that of course I could do it. I handle complex decisions and calculations at my work as I work in finance, and that I have a master's degree and what I do involves more intellect than household operations. Even though I acknowledged and appreciate what she does, I would be capable if the roles were reversed. She got angry and seemed to think I was calling her stupid when I wasn't, and then cried, and now I feel like an AH. She said she was a very good student and had she graduated she would be in my position as well. My wife and I met in college, but she was an international student studying physics and computer science, and she had issues with her loan from her home country and could not afford to complete it, and we got married then so she could stay. Initially she wanted to complete it later after finding the funds, but she agreed to be a som when I got a good job, and I appreciate that a lot as we were able to have a kid early on even while I was both completing my master's and working full-time. YTA. She was an international student studying physics and computer science, and she had issues with her loan from her home country and could not afford to complete it, and we got married then so she could stay. Initially she wanted to complete it later after finding the funds, but she agreed to be a som when I got a good job. Your wife is a very smart woman who probably prepared her whole life for a challenging technical career. And now for better or worse she is a som with no degree or paying job. It's clear that you are proud of your intellectual capabilities and the complex tasks you tackle at work. It is part of your identity and your ego. Your wife has none of that, even though that's what she wanted. What little source of pride she has, her household tasks, her own spouse diminishes and minimizes. How would that make you feel if you were in her shoes? Would you consider supporting your wife to finish her degree? Info. Initially, she wanted to complete it later after finding the funds, but she agreed to be a som when I got a good job, and I appreciate that a lot as we were able to have a kid early on even while I was both completing my master's and working full-time. How is that a benefit? If you waited to have kids, she would have her degree. Right? How does op have a master's while the wife doesn't even have a bachelor's degree? The issue isn't her not having the lack of degree, it's that wife wanted to have the degree, but wife's plans got derailed by the loan and then the baby. I hope she gets to graduate one day. YTA. Oh dear. You need to go back to husband's school. She was telling you about her day and probably was pleased that she'd shop the way she did. It might not be rocket science, but as well as sharing facts about her day, she wanted recognition of her value to you. I will say that again, as you are a slow learner, Mr. Master's degree. She wanted recognition of her value to you. A comparison of your job skills was inappropriate. Of course, if you blether on about your fancy pants finance capabilities, she will feel put down. Your attitude of "I do really clever financial stuff, so of course I can do your job" is disrespectful and hurtful. Household management is a skill. It is both practical and requires specialist knowledge. It requires someone who can get things done. You just see the bit of the iceberg that sticks out above the water, and you have no idea of how much organizational skill is going into your household. I suggest you apologize profusely, give her lots of hugs if she will have them, flowers, chocolates, and a wild night in for her. And never disrespect what she does ever again. I'm willing to say YTA, but not in a typical way. Your wife is bored and doesn't feel appreciated. She was sharing all these things with you so you would say, "Wow, great job, you're brilliant." Apologize. Tiny human is 7 now? See if she wants to go back to school. Ask her what she's thinking and listen. I told her what I do involves more intellect than household operations, and for some reason she thinks I called her stupid. YTA. AITA for telling my son's wife that his ex is in the family and has been here longer than she has. Edit, I will make this clear, she may not be my kid by blood, but everything else she is my daughter and has been for about 10 years. Also, Sabrina is engaged, so new she doesn't want to get back with my son, and I don't want them to either. Yes, I have invited Bethany to do stuff with me, it's always been a no. I won't disown Sabrina by disinviting her to family events, because that is actually I will be saying. I will be saying I don't see her as family if I disinvite her to family events she has gone to for about 10 years. This is asking me to choose between 2 children, I will not disown one. Post. My son was dating Sabrina, they started in high school and broke up when they were in college. It was a long relationship and I became really close to her. She is in my eyes our daughter. Her family are awful people and she sees us as her parental figures. She even is planning to have my husband walk her down the aisle when she gets married. Now when they broke up, relationship just died, we didn't drop her since she is our kid at this point. My son wasn't happy but moved on, so she gets invited to family events and has for years. My son, now 27, is married to Bethany and she is a nice person. We never clicked, we don't have much in common and they live 2 hours away, so it's hard to plan stuff to get to know her more. Really, I'm sure it will grow in time. Now we had a picnic and all the family members were invited. So Sabrina was there as normal and I thought the night was nice. Bethany come up to me at the end of the night and expressed that she is uncomfortable with her husband ex being everywhere and if I couldn't invite her for family stuff. I told her no and that Sabrina is part of the family and has been part of the family longer than she has. If there is an actually valid reason like her rude, then I would consider it, but she has done nothing. She left and my son has called me an asshole for picking her over my now real family. AITA, my husband thinks she is crazy but I know he can be biased. NAH, you think of Sabrina as your own child. She is invited to things because you became her surrogate family. Bethany is not an AH for being upset that someone her husband once loved is invited to all your family events. I would also be upset if my husband's ex was accepted into his family while I am still struggling to feel like part of the family. Yeah, I agree with you. Maybe there are some things you can do, just you and Bethany, to show that you are welcoming her into the family and that there is space for her too. She likely feels as though you're still hoping your son and Sabrina get back together. My family is in a similar situation. But in our case, I'm Bethany. I have never, and will never, ask my Mill to stop seeing our version of Sabrina. I understand that they have a bond and it means a lot to them to see each other on holidays. But we deliberately don't see Mill very often anymore. Every time we are around, at group events or just us visits, my Mill brings up how amazing his ex is. She tells anyone who will listen that she wishes her son and his ex had worked things out because she doesn't like me as much. Bethany will never forget your blatant favoritism. Your son will never forget it either. I'm not saying that Sabrina needs to be uninvited to events. I'm saying you need to put in more effort to make Bethany feel like her emotions matter to you at all. YTA. She's not your daughter, she's your son's ex, and it's weird as hell to keep inviting her to family events when your son has moved on and married. It was extra rude to be so dismissive and nasty to Bethany when she was trying to open up about how uncomfortable she is. If you want to be friends with his ex, then do it when they're not around. Also 2H, drive, it's nothing if you have motivation. My family lives in another country and my husband still makes afford to see them every 2 to 3 months. LOL, be prepared to lose your son then and any future grandchildren that he might have. What a parent. YTA. You've spent the past 5+ years making sure that your son knows you value this relationship with his ex more than his comfort, and now you're making his wife know it too. I'm glad she sees you as parental figures, since you're going to destroy your actual relationship with your kid over this. Yeah, because I'd quit coming around for sure. I can't imagine why the wife doesn't want to spend any time with her. Absolutely YTA. This is a great way to make your son slowly start cutting you out of his life. You are disrespecting his marriage. Lovely that you think she is nice, but I think you wouldn't let yourself click with Bethany because you're stuck on some pipe dream about your son's ex being family. No. Bethany is a part of your family. Your son chose Bethany. You should work on your relationship with her if you want your son to remain close to you. How does the ex-girlfriend feel about being around her ex-boyfriend and his wife? This is an unhealthy environment for everyone. YTA. Your son didn't marry Sabrina, he married Bethany. You need to move on from the fantasy you created in your head. You are allowed to have a relationship with Sabrina, but why does she have to be paraded around all family events like the ghost of your son's past? You're lucky your son still has a relationship with you at all. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.